Hi, Tim here with another video. Today I'm going to talk to you about the diet that I'm actually starting to use and to live starting today. This is my day one, so obviously I haven't got any more weight loss stats or anything to show you because this is literally day one. Now the ketogenic diet is the diet that I'm actually going to be using. Now I've researched this heavily and I am going to fully expect people to be very dubious when I go through and outline what it is. I've got a series of PowerPoint slides that I'm going to put on the screen shortly and talk about it. What I'd like you to do is keep an open mind, very much keep an open mind, and then look at the resources, because in the resources below this video there's a list of links, there's videos, and there's pages where you can go and read. Firstly, watch the videos by people who have researched this, by doctors, people who know what they're talking about, who have researched the benefits of this diet, and it's absolutely proven. So I want you to please keep an open mind and don't just presume that because you've read somewhere or a doctor's told you that this is not the way to go, or you've heard it somewhere, because it really is going against the grain of what a lot of people have taught us. And personally I feel quite duped by this, because I've been living by the low fat regime for many years, and pretty well this diet is going against the grain of that. So I'm going to give you some outlines of what it is in detail, so you know basically what the diet is all about, and just an overview of how to go about it. But again, look at the video resources. There's links to various YouTube videos by prominent people which explain the concepts probably a lot better than I can. But this is the diet I'm going to be following, and even if you still don't agree, follow along, subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch the videos, because I'm going to be living this diet from now on, and the results are going to be, hopefully, the results will speak for themselves when you see that I'm actually getting healthier, feeling better, and losing weight, because that's really all it comes down to. There's all the theory in the world. If you're not losing weight and if you're not getting healthier, that's really the proof, isn't it? So this is going to be the proof when you can see what I'm doing. But let's get into it now, and I'm going to show you, or give you a bit of an overview of what this is all about. Okay, so here we are, the ketogenic diet, which is basically low carbs, low carbohydrates, moderate protein, and high fat. As I said, please keep an open mind, because I was very, very skeptical of this when I first read it, because this is going against the grain of, since the 80s, where researchers and doctors have all been telling us that low fat is the way to go, and basically that is not the truth. That is not the truth, and that's one of the reasons. But if you are struggling with weight right now, this is probably the reason. So basically, let's talk about carbohydrates first. Now, carbohydrates are in foods such as bread, pasta, potatoes, lots of junk food, those types of things. And the foods that are high in these carbs, they get converted into simple sugar in the body. Essentially, that's what happens. Now, that sugar or glucose gets absorbed into the blood, and it raises your glucose levels, because basically that's what happens. The body converts that. And as a result of that, your body needs to produce more insulin to deal with that sugar. Now what can happen is, and what does happen, is this can cause a shortage of nutrients in the blood, because you get hungry, because basically your body has got all this sugar, it's been converted to glucose, glucose has been put into your blood, you get a blood spike, your sugar levels go up really high, and then you get a low after a few hours. And if you've ever eaten a huge meal, like say a pizza or pasta or something like that, at the end of it, have you ever felt really tired? Well, that's a classic sign of your blood sugar levels going up, really spiking really high, because you're putting a lot of sugar into your body, and then going down really low, because that's what happens normally. There's a high and then there's a low. So basically the body is using glucose for energy and keeping you fat. That's really the bottom line with these carbohydrates, is that your body is forever, because if you're like a lot of us these days, and I've certainly been the case with me, I've been loading myself up with carbs, so your body is forever converting those carbs, because they're so easily converted into glucose and absorbed into your bloodstream. So that's what where your body goes naturally for energy. So basically, because you're doing that continually, you're getting hunger and cravings, because your body is saying, look, you've given me some of that stuff that I know is a quick fix, and it's increasing my blood sugar levels. Give me more of it. That's where your cravings come about. So the alternative, the keto diet or ketogenic diet, the summary is it's a low intake of carbs, and that gives you a lower stable blood glucose level. So you haven't got the spikes, the highs and the lows, because you're focusing on less carbs and more of the other good stuff. And look, less insulin is obviously required, because you haven't got high sugar in your system. There's not the need for the body to create as much insulin. And basically what happens is that the body starts, you get into a mode called ketosis, and basically your body then starts looking at your fat, and it starts naturally using your fat stores. It releases that fat because there's no glucose to burn. That's really it's pretty basic here. It's not rocket science. And again, there's resources backed up by doctors in the video description below this, which we'll talk about it. But essentially what you're doing is, because you're not loading yourself up with this with sugar or foods, carbohydrates, which largely are at a very simplistic overview, are converted to sugar, your body is naturally burning your fat. And the other great thing is you haven't got those spikes, you're not hungry, you're not getting those cravings, and you weight loss without hunger. And look, isn't that what we all want? People who are overweight want to be able to lose weight without being hungry and without starving. As I mentioned before, low carbs and moderate or low carbohydrates, a combination of that for moderate protein, which of course your body still needs, and the high fat, but good fat, which we'll talk about shortly, that puts your body into ketosis, which I said. And again, because the sugar is not available, the body is burning your fat instead. This is backed by science, and again, links in the video description. You can go and watch the videos and see for yourself. This is not a fad. Now, I'm sure there'll be some people looking at this video, or if you go to talk to someone about it, they'll say, oh, that's absolutely just a fad. Look, you can't do that. You've got to go back to historically, like low fat, for argument's sake. Well, the thing is, with low fat, that is in itself, to a large degree, you could arguably say that is a fad. And I'm going to give you some links again, which I know I've said a few times, in the video, which will actually show you and talk to you about that. Basically, what we're doing with the keto diet is we're going back and eating like we've eaten for millions of years. We're eating natural, good food. We're avoiding sugar foods, we're avoiding starches and all those types of things, and we're focusing on good food, like humans have done for millions of years. So specifically, and bear in mind there are links that will talk about this in more detail, we're aiming for 20 grams or less of carbs per day. Now, you may not know, have any idea how many grams the average food has got in it. So a slice of white bread, for argument's sake, has got about 10 grams, give or take. I mean, it depends on the brand. Some are higher, some are lower, but around about 10 grams. So it's very easy to rack up 100 or 200 or more carbs per day. So we're aiming for 20. We're still using protein, like meats and so forth. We're making sure that we've got enough protein, because your body does need protein. And high fat, which probably again goes against the grain of most recent information there, certainly on the low fat stuff. It's the right kinds of fat. So it's not a free-for-all. We're not just talking about eating any type of fat you can get your hands on, more on that later. But basically the rules with the keto diet is a summary: when in doubt, eat less carbohydrates, and when in doubt, eat more fat. The pros of the keto diet, and I say keto, ketogenic diet, or keto diet for short: no calorie counting. You can eat whenever you're hungry. Becoming less hungry over time after you've started the diet for a while is normal. You do see an increase in health, and again the stats were proving this. It's well supported by research, by recent research. That's the other thing I'd like to point out, is a lot of the information, particularly on low fat diets, is information that came out in the 80s that hasn't been updated. What's happened is a lot of the researchers up until recently had looked at that and just assumed that was right, and they haven't really checked their facts. And as you can see, when you look in some of these videos, links that I've sent you to, you'll find that there's people there who have not assumed that anyone was right in the first place. They've done their homework, and they've got lots and lots of evidence supporting the fact that this keto diet is the healthiest way to lose weight in the long term. The other thing I want to point out is it's great for weight loss and health, and traditionally the studies are showing you can lose more weight compared to a low-fat diet over the same period of time. As I mentioned before, it's not a fad, it's how humans have always eaten. The cons on the keto diet, obviously we need to talk about pros, we need to talk about cons. There's a lot of ignorance out there. Many people do not know about it and believe in it. Expect a lot of people to come to you and to absolutely be saying that you're crazy, and your cholesterol levels are going to go through the roof because you're having high fat. All I can say to you there is just look at the evidence, and don't assume that people know what they're talking about, because unfortunately you find there's lots of experts, particularly on the internet, but also well-meaning people who probably, even family who care about you, have read something in the news or know a little bit about it and will be quite happy to tell you that what you're doing is crazy. what I suggest you do is just back it up with your own research, and research this extensively. I'm not suggesting, if I can get it out, that you believe me necessarily. Go out and do your own research. I've found a collection of links to get you started. Do your own research, and I think you'll find that once you do this research, you'll find that the evidence is there that this is the way to go. This is the true way to go for weight loss. So the cons, if you call them cons, are you can't have junk food of any kind. No grains. So if you're used to bread, pasta, cereal, those types of things, none of that's available or an option in this diet. Basically, high carb foods are out completely. Potatoes, chips, crackers, all those types of things. The other thing that is a little bit unusual, fruit is out. Now, while you're probably asking, well, why is fruit out? Isn't fruit healthy? Well, yes, it is. But fruit is very high. A lot of fruit is very high in carbs. It's very sugary. For example, an apple is around about 20 to 25, or has 20 to 25 grams of carbs per day. Again, more research on that later, the details about it, but basically fruit to a large degree is out. Avocado is really the only exception to that. The other thing I just want to point out is that no, it's not a free-for-all. You can't just go out there and say, right, any type of fat, I'm just going to eat as much because obviously, you know, there's all types of fats must be good. No, we're not saying that, or I'm not saying that. It's basically there are certain types of fats, and the links we'll talk about some of the good fats. Like for example, butter is a good thing. Cream, believe it or not, thick cream is good for you in limited amounts. That's just a couple of examples, but there's lots of other examples of foods there, and I'm not going to go through them all now because the links are there. In general, you do have to remember, if you're not eating carbs, you must eat fats. Normally it's one or the other. So one of the mistakes you could make is to try and reduce your carbs and then try and reduce your fat as well. Basically, you're putting yourself into starvation mode, which defeats the whole purpose of this. So if you are going to go for and use this keto diet after you've researched it and after you understand it, bear in mind that you do have to eat the fats. You can't just try and chop it all down, low carbs and low fats. It's not healthy, and the diet will not work. As I said, the right types of fats. Protein is still required, so again, you can't avoid that. The links below have got all the details about the types of foods and basically how to go about it. Watch the videos. I think it's very important if you have a look at some of those videos. There's two in particular. There's a short one, a short funny one. Then there's a longer one by a doctor from Sweden that I want you to watch. The longer one goes for about 40 or 50 minutes. I think the first 40 minutes is his talk, and then there's 10 minutes of questions. I didn't find the last 10 minutes of question time to be very useful, so just focus on the first 40 minutes of his presentation, and you will understand what's happened in our country. Obviously it's US, but I'm from Australia, but the same things happen over here. Ever since the low-fat regime has been really pushed heavily by governments since 1984, we have got overweight, more and more overweight. So low fat, despite what you may have read, despite what people are telling you, isn't working. But again, more on that if you watch that video. This guy is a doctor. He knows what he's talking about. He's got hundreds of patients who've been through this, and it actually works. So do make sure you watch the videos. Do read those pages that have got a good overview of this ketogenic diet. I don't want you just to assume that, you know, just because I'm saying it, therefore you should do it. I'm hoping this video has given you a bit of an overview to make you curious to go out and find out some more about the keto diet and find out for yourself, because it took me a while to believe it. My first thoughts were looking at it when I realised it was high fat and low carbs. I thought, this is BS. This is some sort of fad. This is just not going to work. But the more I researched it, the more I believed in it and became to believe on it based on the verifiable proof, which some of those links on this page have actually linking you to the direct science behind this stuff and how it works. And I was a believer. I became a believer as a result of that. So make sure you do that. The other thing I want you to also do is, please, you're probably watching this video now. Hopefully you are following on YouTube. But please follow me as I do it, because the proof is literally in the pudding, as they say. Because I'm going to be doing this, be following along and doing this keto diet. I'm aiming to do a video every day showing you what I'm doing and how I'm going with it. You can see for yourself, and I'm going to tell you if I'm not losing weight, I'm going to be up front and tell you. And again, if I am losing weight, I'm certainly going to be telling you that as well. I'm following this diet and I'm putting this out there, and I want to make this the premier blog for people who are wanting to follow the keto diet. So this is going to be the proof. You can read all the theory and read up all the research and convince yourself that this is working. But also follow me on YouTube, because you're going to be able to see someone who's actually following along and doing the keto diet, and see that it actually does work. So any questions, please get back to me. And yeah, I do actually want you to leave as many comments as you can on my videos. Please like them, share them, those types of things, because that really helps me. That helps me get more subscribers, and we can spread the word further and get more and more people to understand this. And let's really make a change. Let's see how many people we can work together to lose this weight once and for all. Because look, I'm now nearly 49 years of age. Weight has been a problem for me for most of my life, and now is a chance. Finally, I feel that following the ketogenic diet is a long-term plan. It's not a short-term fad that you then need to transition off or anything like that. It's going to work. So I'm going to leave the video there for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back with another video showing you my progress, or talking about my progress on my day 1 of my keto diet, which is starting today. I'll be back then with another video. Cheers for now.